Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Ryan Harris. This is the SnoWest podcast. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We've got our co-host in studio with us is Brent Wilsey, PowerTech Diesel. You might remember Brent from a few episodes ago when he went on some long rant about, I don't know, some 40-minute story about racing his
doesn't sound like something
Summit Turbo and
I don't know, maybe
buying sleds. Anyway, Brent builds our trucks. He builds. Matter of fact, I was going to tell you. Did you go to Jackson?
Nope.
So a lot of the guys, like Keith Curtis and I can't remember Andy. I can't remember who else you sponsored, but your PowerTech Diesel got read quite a bit on the sponsor list. Mm-hmm.
Man, they didn't even hit me up for anything this year.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, you take care of a couple guys' trucks, and they're just going to put you on that list for life.
Well, I need to reach out and make sure they're all dialed in, but yeah, that's a solid group to be involved with for sure because it's not super saturated like everything else. Yeah, definitely. All right, and then we've got a couple guests in studio today. If you're familiar with Boondock Nation, we have Dylan Rose and Jack Sarama.
Nailed it.
Okay,
absolutely nailed it.
I thought about that earlier. I'm like, am I screwing this name up? Like, I got to check with you. But yeah, Jack Sarama. I've known you for years, but it's one of those names where you just kind of assume you're saying it right.
Yep. So, no, that's perfect.
All right.
That's how everyone should say it.
Awesome. Couple of Idaho natives. We'll take you as natives. Wisconsin transplants.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
And I offered you some water. Idaho water is clear. I don't know what I think the water in Wisconsin is brown and alcohol filled, and I don't know what I don't know.
It usually involves a little partying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a different culture back there for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like you brought that culture with you. Like the Boondock Nation Heydays party is a riot, and you're getting that going in Island Park with Winter Sled Fest?
Out West Sled Fest.
Out West Sled Fest. Yeah. Yeah, you're bringing the party scene out here.
That's
doing a good job with that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely woven into the fabric of what we do. You know, like every day, just about every day that we are doing Boondock Nation, it's a party, you know. Whether we're out on the mountain, obviously we're not drinking or doing anything like that while we're out on the mountain, but it's really just about having a good time, you know. So that translates into, you know, our events and getting together with the people we love and doing that type of thing. And naturally, being from the Midwest, you know, we drink a lot of beer while doing it.
Party animals, Boondock Nation party animals. That should be your logo. All right, we've got some wild stories. Jack, you had a factory turbo, a Summit, like blow up in your face.
Yeah.
While you're sitting on the sled, right?
Yeah,
we'll get into that one later.
Okay.
But that happened, and then you've had tracks come off, and
I've had some issues as well with drivers and a sort of jack shaft bearing, just kind of some random stuff, but nothing as bad as what Jack's had this year, fortunately.
It's the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It must be.
We put them through their paces, that's for sure. I mean, a couple thousand miles in a year, but a lot of times it's multiple days on end that we're riding, and there isn't always time for maintenance, or, you know, you don't notice something right away and it creates a bigger issue. You know, we keep up on them as best we can, but while pushing the limits, a lot of crazy things happen too. So
yeah, well, I can't wait to hear that story in detail. You've told it briefly, but we're gonna get into full details on that. That sounds like an exciting story. You've probably got some truck stuff to match that one.
Yeah, it's always something.
Before we jump in, though, I want to take a second and thank you for listening or watching. You can catch all of our episodes on any major podcast platform, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, and you can watch it on YouTube. Let me get a quick little adjust here. Getting something I don't like. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, and then before we get going, I want to say thank you to the crew at CastleX. CastleX has been producing snowmobile gear for a long time, like decades, part of Castle Sales. And not just sledding gear. They have a new line of moto gear. You can check out the new R1 MX moto gear on their website at Castle Sales. It's right there on the TV screen, actually. It's pretty cool looking stuff. Oh, you just missed it. You can check out that new R1 MX moto gear at castlesales.com. Castle Sales Company. Castle Sales was established in Green Bay, Wisconsin backyard.
How about
right?
that?
How far are you guys from Green Bay?
Couple hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2.5 hours north.
Yeah.
Or did you guys really struggle this summer with the Green Bay Aaron Rodgers news?
You know, I shouldn't even say this, but I'm actually a Bears fan.
Okay.
I'm not much into sports, so it
You
doesn't
might
really-
not be going home to
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get disowned by a lot of people for that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to see Aaron Rodgers leaving the NFC North, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you'd have to deal with him at some point, but you guys won't for a while.
Right.
You got a few years catching up there. Anyway, Castle Sales, Green Bay, Wisconsin. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary in power sports this year. In 1999, they launched CastleX, which is the proprietary brand of performance-minded apparel and accessories focused towards enhancing the rider experience for power sports activities. Their goal was to create a line of highly technical products at affordable price points. And 24 years later, the evolution of CastleX continues as the team pushes the limits to design, develop, and manufacture industry-leading products at value-driven pricing. This stuff is pretty cool. We've ridden it a few times. Our photographer Ryan Thompson, his crew, his brother and his cousin wear that stuff on the regular. It's pretty good looking stuff. It's great. From snow to dirt to street, CastleX is your gear for fun. Complete line of products. All the sledding gear you need, from jackets, pants, monosuits, men's and women's gear, youth gear. Goggles, helmets, layering, casual wear, they have everything. You can check them out at castlesales.com and find them on social media at CastleX Gear. All right, now, jumping into the show, I don't know, should we start right off with the sled blowing up story? I kind of want to hear
I
that.
think so.
All right.
I mean, or do you save it till the end and people will listen to your whole show?
Well, let's save it a little bit. First off, just give me the Boondock Nation story in a nutshell. We've worked together. SnoWest and Boondock Nation have worked together for, has it been about 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah, we could probably provide a little background. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with our brand that are listening, but, you know, we're reaching new people every day. So we started Boondock Nation back in 2015. Dylan and I and a couple other buddies had an English class together back in high school. We started riding together. And that's where the idea kind of came about. So, I don't know, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, we linked up for our first ride up in the UP on sleds that were marginally off-trail sleds, and it got a little weird. I think I ended up totaling out my mom's sled that day. I was actually riding her machine, but
What sled was it?
it was it would have
It's
been
like
like
an Indy.
It was
like
an Indy. Yeah, it was like an Indy SP, like a 550 fan or something.
Yeah, and I was on like a Renegade or something. We were like boondocking these trail sleds, right?
Just trying to
But-
ride the ditches and.
But destruction is like woven into the fabric of all this. But anyway,
So that kind of like formed this bond with us. We were stoked, and we felt like we needed to share some of these experiences that we were having together, and wanted to show like all of our adventures up to the UP, which was our closest backcountry riding. If you're from the Midwest, you're probably familiar with that. Super cool. Proud to have grown up riding there. But yeah, we were riding there and taking trips. So we started our Instagram page, which is Boondock Nation. We came up with that in a group chat and kind of got the ball rolling from there.
yeah, but you know, the UP of Michigan, for those that aren't familiar, it's little tight creek beds and drainages and stuff. A lot of hardwood trees. You know, not a lot of room for error. We were breaking so many bumpers and plastics and stuff trying to learn how to side hill through the trees. But
We'd be in trouble out there because our trees out here bend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just fold over.
yeah, and at least the bigger trees have some, you know, branches that
To
you
buffer
crash
you.
into, right?
Yeah.
Or a tree well that kind of helps soften the blow. But anyway, we were always set on going out west. Like that was always the dream. We knew some other guys that did the same thing as us, you know, riding up north on the weekends, but would take a trip or two out west every year. And that was always the dream. So then we started doing that. And we filmed our first episode at Barant's Backcountry Adventure. We like paid for the whole thing, you know, rented the cabin there at BBA, and rode with like Ross Robinson and David McKinney actually filmed that. He filmed our first season there, and then we filmed an episode in Island Park. So it was like 3 episodes, and we started airing this stuff on broadcast TV in the Midwest. So Dylan's dad, Dylan's actually 3rd generation of Discover Media Works, which is a company that produces Discover Wisconsin and a couple other TV programs in the Midwest. So they've been buying airtime for a long time, and Dylan's dad kind of hooked us up and was able to basically get us off the ground with this broadcast TV show. So we took that idea to Heydays, made our own trade show booth. It was the wildest thing. We had some sleds up on some hay bales and stuff, but started getting some sponsors on board and just went from there, and it started snowballing. So then we did more episodes the next year. We started traveling more, linked up with guys like Phil Wybar. Quality was always, in our production and in what we did. So that's kind of how the brand got built.
And then we made the move out here, which is when we linked up with you, I think. We would have probably connected within a year or so of us moving out here. We've been out here for what, like 6 winters now?
Yeah, this is our 6th winter.
6 winters,
yeah.
So yeah, that timeline's about right.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Six years ago.
So yeah, we've obviously evolved a lot since then. Broadcast is still a big part of what we do, but now we're into the digital world, as are you and the rest of the industry. So we started releasing a bunch of YouTube videos. When we moved out here, we'd release some stuff throughout the season, and then last year we really made a concerted effort to release a video every single week from Heydays all the way through the winter. And we missed two weeks or 3 weeks in there, but we've honed it in now, and we haven't missed a week all winter, and we're just stoked to keep creating the content and keep evolving the brand into this digital realm. And it's good stuff. Gets me excited.
It's hard to hit deadlines in this industry because, for one, it sneaks up on you. Like you think you got all year to get ready, and then like September 1st hits, and then you're just back-to-back shows. And then winter hits, and you're just like, yeah, there's a little bit of snow. And then before you know it, you're like up in chest-deep snow, like getting stuck, breaking parts. And you're like, oh, we forgot to film all this crap. And then, hitting those deadlines, we're kind of in the same boat, hitting those markers. And then next thing you know, it's March 1st, and you're like, oh, man, we didn't do this.
Yeah, we've just been talking as we're packing up and getting ready to head back to Wisconsin. Like, this winter truly went by so fast. And we say that every year, but as we pile more on our plate and the brand continues to grow and we're going to more places and around with more people and putting out more content than ever, it does go fast. But we're making the most of every day. And thankfully, this year we've had some snow too, right? Like last year was tough on everyone. And thankfully, like most of the West and even the Midwest had a pretty good year.
Yeah, this year was nuts.
What did you tell me the other day? Today, we've got more snow than we had last year in February.
Oh, yeah. But, well, I can't even say that anymore because today we have 3 times as much snow.
So you guys aren't even close to done then, right?
No, that's the thing. It feels like midwinter for us, but yet we got to start packing it up,
Yeah,
Really?
you're driving back home to Wisconsin Monday?
Yeah, I'm heading back on Monday.
you are?
Dude,
Yeah.
I want to see some videos of like dollies on your skis riding dirt to get to the snow. And
We've done it. I mean, we were just talking about that too. Like, thankfully, our sleds aren't going to take as much abuse this year because there are years where you're pushing through a lot of dirt, wearing holes in your skis, just to try and get there. But I'm planning on coming back out here in June. Okay. I've never ridden, past May before, so I think that would be cool. Eventually, we'll try and get all 12 months. But
we used to do that industry ride in June with everybody. Kind of late June. We'd push it as long as we could over in Smiths Fork.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm sure we can get it done this year with the snow level we have. It's so flipping deep. Like you bought that Lynx Turbo.
I just want to go ride in a T-shirt.
Well, we're there, man. We can go Friday.
Yeah.
You got to come with us Friday.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Oh, but yeah, you took your Lynx over by Driggs, Rexburg Bench, and you were having a hard time just going on flat ground.
It was
nuts. On
nuts.
that turbo.
Yeah, it was chest deep.
Yeah, and we just around here we don't get that all the time. Like Colorado, BC, and it's weird because BC didn't have a phenomenal winter.
Right.
But BC and Colorado kind of get that weekly refill, and around here locally anyway, from here to McCall and from here west a little bit, we'll get new snow every couple weeks.
Well, that was kind of the push, also on the snow bikes because it was like you don't have to have chest deep snow to go have fun. So it was anyway. That was part of why the snowmobile was appealing again because we had some snow.
Yeah, you had conditions this year where a snow bike probably would have sucked.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, a couple of those rides would have been rough.
So basically, you guys you load up and you go somewhere new every week. You take your filmer with you, and go to. You've been all over the place.
Yeah, a lot of places this season. We started out here. We always come out here like right before Christmas, breaking the sleds, get the shakedown ride out of the way, make sure we tightened everything from our.
What's a break-in ride like for you guys? Because everybody's different. Like every now and then
Well-
you meet somebody who actually breaks in their sled. Most everybody just full throttle.
Well, Dylan said something pretty key here. You want to hear about this year's break-in ride? So we were planning on going out with Dan Adams. He had a sled that he had carried over that wasn't affected by the stop ride. So he's like, let's get out and ride. We'll do a little avalanche safety discussion, make some content, whatever. First ride, it'll be sweet. It was supposed to be a POW day, too. And we were wrenching on sleds. On the way through from Wisconsin, we stopped in Bozeman, picked up some Ice Age rails for all of our sleds. So I'm throwing some rails in my Summit, working on it late at night, like past midnight, and tension the track, align it. I forget to tighten the axle bolt. So we're heading out with Dan, and we get like 6 miles down the trail, and my axle bolt blows out and just shreds my track.
That's how I knew how these guys were. That's the one I remember.
That's the story.
So that was an expensive first day, needless to say. But typically we just go out and we do take it easy on them for the most part. A lot of times you don't have the best snow on the first ride of the year. Sometimes you do. But we just try and, make sure everything's the way we like it. Configurations on like the controls, suspension, starting to figure out that stuff. This year we're on a new chassis. So pretty much riding them stock out of the box, but lots to still figure out there. So
You guys are riding the Gen 5?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were both on Expert Turbo 154s,
Correct.
Yeah.
right? And then later in the season, or right off the bat, did you pick up the Lynx 146 and the 9R 146?
We had spring ordered those, all four of
Yeah.
those sleds, but they just hadn't come in yet. So I guess we came out beginning of December, broke in the sleds a couple of weeks, got a couple hundred miles on, went back, holidays with the family. That's where you picked up the Lynx
Yeah.
back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So then we came back out here right after New Year's, picked up my 9R, picked up Jordan, our camera guy's 9R, and then the next day went to Revelstoke. So we went up there. People were saying, it's the worst snow we've had in 20 years, blah, blah, blah. It was still about as good as we had here. But it was interesting to see it with a much lower snowpack. Some of the stuff that we had recognized just looked drastically different up there. But it's cool to go meet up with some friends and ride Canada for the first time in like 3 years, since the
Do you
pandemic.
guys have a favorite spot, or is it just always a new adventure and you just have fun wherever you're at?
That's kind of a loaded question. I feel like, obviously, like this place.
You guys go a lot of
We
places.
go a lot of
There
places,
one that
yeah,
just, you're
totally.
always like, man, that's the
Revelstoke is the best, BC, and we haven't been to Whistler. Admittedly, we haven't really been anywhere outside of like the Revelstoke area other than Valemount.
Be cool
so
to ride the coast, yeah.
be cool to ride the coastal stuff, but Revelstoke's the hub. And then honestly, this place has a very special spot in our heart. It's pretty darn cool around here.
A lot of diversity here in the terrain.
I think about what's the elevation when you're riding Revelstoke? It's low.
It's lower, yeah.
So can you tell a big difference in like a turbo Gen 5?
Oh,
Turbo,
so
not as much.
that's the thing, yeah. I think the sled selection is pretty dependent on where you ride mostly these days, depending on elevation. So I broke in that 9R up there, and it was sweet.
Oh, yeah.
So you're riding like 5,500, 6,000, maybe 6,500, 7,000 max up there, and it was just screaming, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like Sealy Lake. So if we were like based out of one of those locations, I think that would be the sled to have.
You would maybe give up on the extra weight of the turbo because I guess you don't really need it as much.
Yeah, even if it was like if I was a cat guy, build like a 900 cat with some lightweight rotating parts. Same thing with like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, or out east where you're down low. But if you're riding here or Colorado, especially where you're super high elevation, you got to have a turbo.
And you can tell. I mean, there's a big difference.
Absolutely,
Okay.
it just makes you look at terrain
Oh
differently.
yeah,
honestly.
totally.
But if you could go anywhere, you could go to Revelstoke.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, it's just the snowpack is consistent. They often don't deal with the avalanche problems that we see here with the 12-layer cake. interior BC is pretty consistent typically, except for this year. The terrain's awesome. It's just big old mountains that you're riding all over. There's gigantic chutes and gnarly rocks, and then great tree riding and pillows, features, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
So is there not, like the snow's more stable? There's not as much of a temperature swing or like...
Yeah,
I guess go into that a little bit, because hearing that, I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. I figured that was...
So a good example is like around here this year. So a lot of times, as Ryan said, we'll get big storms, big resets every couple of weeks. But in that time where you're not getting snow, that surface is being affected by wind, by temperature changes, by sun, all kinds of things. So that affects how the new snow that then lands on that surface will bond to it. Now, if you're getting snow like a couple storms a week or very consistently, it has less of a chance to form those weird crusts and layers. It can vary a lot from riding zone to riding zone even. But around here, since we got such consistent snow this year, we had very few persistent problems in the snowpack.
Never even thought of that.
Yeah, it's just totally different everywhere we go. Like Colorado's heavy conditions vary much differently than even Idaho's. And Utah, I mean, it just changes everywhere. Like from Island Park to McCall is quite a bit different.
Man, that would be nice if that element wasn't there as much. That's the biggest worry every time we like the gnarly, crazy stuff on the bikes, but that's always in the back of your mind, like kind of just asking for it.
Yeah, if you could eliminate that. Yeah, it'd be game on. But all right, I want to hear the sled blown up story now. I was going to save that for later, but I want to hear that.
Was that this year?
It was about a month ago right now, actually. So this was the Friday of the Jackson Hole Hill Climbs. So I had organized this big ride, a lot of people in town from various locations, and we were just going to go out and have a short ride. And then everybody was staying in Jackson that night. So, and watching the event the rest of the weekend. So it was going to be super cool. We had about a dozen people, a lot of industry people too, like Matt, Muskoka Freerider. Matt came down from Canada on his trip. He kicked off his U.S. tour, kind of riding with us and staying in Jackson Hole. So that was pretty cool. Kyle Saxton and his girlfriend Kyla, down from Sealy Lake area, all kinds of people. Anyway, we're out riding, and it was really good snow for like end of March, like over the hood pow. And we went up Mosquito Creek, very well-known, popular area outside of Jackson Hole. And we didn't even make it far. I mean, the snow was so good. We were just riding the trees like right above the trail, thankfully. And I don't know, Matt's sled was running weird. He wasn't pulling full R's. Like, people were having some issues, so we weren't going to go very far anyway. And we found this cool zone in the trees, this sweet pocket with a lot of like deadfall, but there was so much snow on the ground that they just turned into big features. So we were kind of playing and taking some cell phone videos in there. And I developed this bog in my sled, like coming off of idle, like into engagement.
And which sled is this?
This is my Gen 5 Summit Expert Turbo, 850 Turbo. So I had about 600 miles on it at the time. And it had been a great sled for me. I mean, no issues prior to this point, really.
And pretty stock?
Yeah, it had a full exhaust on it, tune, and clutching.
Okay.
So not stock. Like point that out, not fully stock.
Not fully stock. Suspension as well. But sled was running great. I geared it up and was pulling crazy track speed, just ripping. I was in love with the sled, but developed this weird bog, kind of like a gurgle, kind of like an Arctic cat sucking snow through the hood type bog. And I'm like, that's so weird, but it'd clear out once I got up in RPMs. And I was fighting up through the trees to try and get up to this line and hit this pillow. And I did a bow tie off it, and I land, come down, kind of get hung up on a tree, chill out, catch my breath for a couple of minutes, and talking to everybody. Then we're going to go ride again and sit down, place my hands on the handlebars, press the shot button, and the thing just explodes. Like
just blows up right in front of your face.
Yeah, just fire shoots out the intake.
Did it
vents.
get the mustache?
It didn't get the stash, but I did have my goggles up, on the top of my helmet, and it singed my eyebrows and eyelashes. Yeah. The last thing I remember before closing my eyes was flames shooting out the side panels, like, the curvature of the Skidoo side panels. It kind of just came out all around that, kind of melted my gear, like I said, burned my face and eyebrows, and then it was just on fire.
So this thing obviously had a gas leak and something to do with that capacitor. Just sat there and fumes under the hood and boom.
It was the most unexpected thing.
No video?
I didn't have a helmet camera on at the time. Matt was recording about 50 yards away, and you hear the boom.
Oh, wow.
In his video. So he rushed over. Everybody rushed over, and we're throwing snow on it, trying to get it put out. And with a fuel fire like that, you
it's
get it put out
pointless.
in one place, and it flares up elsewhere. So we're
You're
trying.
better off just get the hot dogs out.
I'm trying to pull, a Skidoo hood has like 6 hood bolts, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going at it with the little Torx thing, like frantically, trying to keep my cool, right? And get these Torx bolts out so we can get the hood off, because it's not possible to get snow up in there through the side panels.
Yeah.
And I get the front 2 out and just rip the rest off. And underneath the hood's burning, the inside the side panels are burning, the sled's burning. And we're trying, and then finally it starts burning around the fuel cap itself. And I said, just get away from it. Like, nobody needs to die out here if this thing blows up. So we all, start walking away. And then Matt says, I'll put my goggles on and try and pull the back end downhill and get the fuel away from the fire. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll help you.
I mean, just let it burn. There's less to clean up.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but anyway, we go to pull it backwards and it rolls 3 times. We had already tried rolling it a bunch. It rolls 3 times, snuffs it out, and we got it put out.
Was it? I mean, it was torched though.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty torched. It looks bad.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole upper console area, like all the charged tube intake, all that stuff's melted. But I brought it to the dealership and I'm having them diagnose why it blew up.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what we got to figure out.
Well,
So let me ask you, Dylan.
Yeah.
This will determine if you're an Idahoan or if you're Wisconsin. When that thing blew up and you turned and looked at Jack surrounded in flames, did you laugh or were you worried?
I wasn't there, honestly. I
you weren't there?
not there for it. So,
Oh, man. Okay.
but I don't know. I would have probably been concerned initially, just given the sound.
Okay, you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
we see shit like that, and it's just like, get some gas. The fire's not big enough.
It was just the most unexpected thing. I mean, I've had shot on sleds for so many years, like electric start, right, or whatever. So just used to pushing that button like I've done 10,000 times before, and it just exploded in my face.
You're going to be riding with somebody years from now that has no idea about that story, and they're going to be watching you start your Skidoo, and you're going to be like leaning back as far as you can. Like, what is wrong? Just start it.
Oh, man. I'd have been concerned about getting it on video.
Yeah,
Watching
pull
it
the
burn
phone
to-
out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I put good insurance on everything.
Yeah, if you watch, we released a video on it. It's in our Jackson Hole Hill Climb vlog, and then Muskoka Matt released a video on it as well. It's just a wild experience. Fortunately, though, like I said, we were right above the trail. We were able to pull it right down the drainage we were in, and it was an easy egress back to the truck. So
Dan wasn't on this one either. I was going to say, he might stop riding with you. He's got to be pretty patient, though, doing what he does.
Oh my
he's the
gosh.
best.
Oh, clinics, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I go with him and I can't, like, I've got to like leave the group for a while. Granted, I'm not like in the group. I'm just there watching and
Right.
kind of watching from the outside in. But that guy has so much patience and tolerance
Yeah.
for people, and I don't.
Well,
I don't possess that.
You'd
skill.
have to
Yeah,
to do what he's doing.
but he does. We're jumping off the rails here on the story, but anyway, Dan does probably the most phenomenal job, I think, of instructing people, because he breaks it down to just step by step rather than just here, just watch me do it and then do what I do.
Yeah.
He breaks it down. He's got his radio system set up so you can hear him talk while you're riding. And
The only reason I ask is
that's cool.
we've got friends like that. We just don't ride with them anymore. Their stuff's always broken.
yeah, no, same here.
No, Dan is incredible at what he does. He's the best.
Yeah, he's awesome. So that sled's toast, right? You're not riding that Friday.
No.
So what do they say? Like what? What's
No word as of yet, right?
No, I got to call them, honestly. It's one of those things I don't really want to address, but I have to.
did they just point the finger at you had some goodies on it and
Well, I sure hope not, honestly. I want to find out like why it blew up first. There's got to be like a loose injector somewhere, or a crack in the fuel line or something, right? But I found it interesting that the Monday after this happened, I received a letter for a recall for a fuel leak on the Gen 4s that I had prior to this. And the Gen 4 and Gen 5 are pretty similar under the hood, so I'm not trying to imply anything
nothing
there.
official, at least.
Nothing official, but we got to figure out why this thing blew up. Yeah.
But you guys do some serious jumping on these things.
Oh yeah, they're definitely put through their paces. So, I'm always expecting it to be my fault. You know, that's the thing with all these broken parts and all this stuff that happens. Like, I never get too upset because
you can't. If you're living in this world and that's what you do, like you just got to find the humor in it. And
Yeah.
it's a thing. Nobody got hurt.
we're pushing these things to the absolute limit of what they can do, and obviously things are going to go terribly wrong when you start to do that. So we just hope that it doesn't end in like a catastrophe where you get hurt, right? Like where your front end comes apart on a jump or something, right? And that's why we keep up on maintenance. We try and have 2 sleds up throughout the whole season. So if something is an issue on one, we can take it off the snow and ride the other one while we take the time to fix it.
If you need a low mile backup Lynx 154, I know where one is.
Yeah.
What, I do ride it 3 times?
3 or 4. Oh yeah. So Dylan, you've got the Lynx 146, right?
Yep.
The RE.
Yep.
You guys rode our 22 Lynx two springs ago.
Exactly where we're going on
Yeah,
Friday.
exactly where we're going Friday. And so what made you want to go with the Lynx? Kind of just everybody talking about that suspension and.
Honestly, I've always wanted a Lynx. I remember in high school when we got computers, like that was a big thing, and everyone was just on Craigslist, like doing whatever, not doing what they're supposed to do. I remember looking at those Lynxes on the internet and just being like obsessed with the way they looked, and like the suspension was radical, obviously, compared to anything else. So it's always been something that's piqued my curiosity. So yeah, I think it was the right sled, and I've never had a 146 before either. So I knew I wanted to do that this year, and then the Lynx, and it made sense.
So break that Lynx down. So it's a 146 RE.
Yep.
Non-turbo.
Non-turbo.
They didn't do the turbo last year. They just did it for 24, which is coming out.
Yep.
So from a test rider standpoint, break that sled down. Like, what did you think?
It's pretty cool. It's a little bit washier in the trees, I guess, than I would have expected. I think the 36-inch front end, and then obviously the Lynx has really wide skis on it, right? So that with the shorter track, shorter lug, just makes it a little bit washier in the trees. But for a jumping sled, for something that like you want to jib around off of stuff, riding the trail, like it's a really nice machine. The suspension works really well. I love it. It's still playful in the trees too. Like it still gets it done everywhere. But as far as 146s go, I think that Jack's 9R definitely takes the cake in the technical riding department.
Why is that? What do you feel different there?
Just seems like it holds the edge more, and just the reviness, like the track seems to work a lot better on the Polaris 146 track. And
Which is a 2.5. They're both 2.5s, right?
Yeah.
It's actually a 2.6, I think.
It is
it
a
a 2.5?
It's a 2.6 on mine.
Is it?
Yeah.
2.6, yeah. You need 2.6 on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference is, but I should say the 146 NA, when you order it, comes with low elevation clutching in it, so you have to change that around. It's also got taller gearing in it than what a Summit does. So I geared it down. I put a Bikeman stage kit on it, so it's got a full exhaust clutch kit, and it's geared down. So it's pretty snappy now. It's definitely set up the way I like it.
That woke it up big time.
Yeah.
Another thing to point out too is that Lynx 146 has like 9-tooth drivers, right?
Yeah, 286 drivers.
Versus most mountain sleds have a 3-inch pitch or 3.5. So that could have something to do with the track's performance. Mm-hmm. But it's smooth.
It's smooth, yeah. It's a very comfortable machine. It's confidence inspiring in a lot of ways, and it jumps really well. I love the way that it jumps.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you can tell just from the Scandinavians the way the stuff they're jumping on those.
Yeah.
Those things are built to take it for one, and they've got the suspension to handle that stuff pretty well. What about your 9R? Talk about that one.
Yeah. So last year, bought my first 146. the 850 Polaris RMK Chaos. Loved it so much that I got the 9R version this year. So that was cool to just be essentially on the same sled, but get a little upgrade in the power department. But I can't believe how responsive it is too, getting in and out of the throttle. So really impressed with the 9R. I dialed it in about midway through the season with full exhaust, clutching. Polaris primary spring broke, I think, around 500 miles right when I did the clutching. So always good to refresh those springs. And that really woke it up. Between that and the exhaust, I put a Skins hood on it and then a Raptor shock in the rear. Wrapped it, of course, and Ice Age rails. It's been a great sled.
Is the 146 like a certain type of riding? You pull that out, or that's like your go-to?
Absolutely.
Because I could barely get around on a 154.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a new thing, it seems like, in the industry. Like, a lot of the younger guys are getting into it more. Maybe they're coming back. I don't know. But yeah, this time of the year, it's fun. You don't need all the track length,
Right.
because you can kind of just cruise around everywhere. And these things still lift the skis up and make it a lot of fun.
You watch Maverick Walker and Caleb Kosturki, what they do on 146s. I mean, honestly, they make it look easy.
Yeah.
You're like, how does the snowmobile just keep in a tail stand but keep moving forward?
Yeah.
And that's so hard to do, but they can do it on 146s, and then because of their technique and their strength and everything, they're able to just keep it moving all the time.
It's just more fun, like playful, and
Yeah.
gets around easier.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Especially in the snow. Like, we went out and rode yesterday, and it was just kind of hard, yet slushy on top. And you can just slide around. You play the washiness, like
Yeah.
Dylan was talking about. The shorter frame allows you to wash it a little bit. You can just slide around through the trees and do some pretty effortless stuff. It's a lot more responsive and just quicker in those movements than like if you're on a 165. Additionally, they build track speed like crazy because it's just less track.
Yeah.
And they build it fast too. So that's one thing on my sled. It feels like I'm on a trials bike sometimes. Like, I'll charge into a pillow, slam on the brake, like hop up on top of it, and then jump off and just like whip it from a stop
cool.
off like 45 degrees and land, and go off that way. So being able to do stuff like that is just so fun. When you go half throttle and it wants to pick the skis up off the ground.
Yeah,
because
that's cool.
that frame is just so short.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of in the small club, not a lot of members of people that can ride a Skidoo and a Polaris at the same time, like jump back and forth really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you found that with you probably can do the same thing.
A little bit, yeah.
in the crowd.
Not as easily, but I can get there.
But I'm sure you've seen that,
Oh, yeah.
Skidoo riders cannot get on a Polaris and Polaris riders cannot get on a
Yeah.
Skidoo without taking like 2 or 3 days to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you guys feel when you jump back and forth?
Yeah, that's something that it did take me a little while to get used to when I first started switching back and forth between the two different styles. Because really there is like two different styles, right? The vertical steering like the Arctic Cats and Polarises have, and then the lay down steering like the Skidoos have. And it's more than that, but that's just how they're more like generally defined, I think. So I had a 900 Cat that I built, and a 2020 Summit Expert, I think, was the year that I had those on the snow. And that's when I started to jump back and forth. And it did take me a while to get used to the Cat again. I had a Cat earlier, I guess. In model year 18, I rode that Cat a bit, but had some issues with it, and I didn't spend very much time on it. I wasn't a very good rider back then either. So I don't know. I took like 3 days, just committed to learning it. There's definitely some differences in the way you position your body. It works some different muscles in your shoulders and back, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, I think, once you spend enough time on it, it becomes like subconscious. So now when I hop between them, it might take literally a couple turns where I figure out, oh yeah, the Skidoo, you're like way more over the bars and skis. But after a couple turns, I'll go jump it, ride the trees. That's where I'm at now. So there's definitely a difference, but I think anybody can ride any sled if they just give it enough time.
Yeah, that's what we always say. If you put the time in, you need to adapt to what the snowmobile can do rather than trying to make the snowmobile do what you only know how to do. But if you can figure that out, then you can ride anything.
Right.
And then you get into that element of, okay, now I can adapt to this machine, and then I can take that machine and try to do the same thing. And then you start splitting all the differences out and being able to really test and really compare and see what's different. But
Yeah.
which platform do you prefer? Like, do you like the Polaris overall feel better? Or or the skidoo setup? And same to you, Dylan.
It's so tough for me.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of conditions dependent in a sense. Like, I will take a Polaris in marginal snow any day over a skidoo. But if it's deep snow, I love the skidoo. I love how you're like forward on the chassis. Everything's kind of flowing behind you. Love it for downhill stuff, turns, jumps. The Polaris, you can get away with a lot on jumps. But it just, to me, it doesn't feel as natural. So I think I'm more naturally suited for the skidoo. But yeah, in marginal snow, I love the Polaris.
Yeah, I like the skidoo. Now that I've switched over, I've kind of ridden everything over the last 6-7 years. But yeah, I don't know. I do like the Polaris. I was able to spend like a week on a Polaris last spring. Dutch at Action Motorsports hooked it up for me because I was down. But I spent a week on it. I really liked it. I don't have too much of a problem jumping back and forth, but it probably takes me longer than Jack to do that. I prefer the lay down steering, honestly, just because it feels more natural to me. It works my shoulder, like Jack said, the shoulder muscles. That's the biggest thing that I notice. I feel like I'm fighting the vertical steering in a way that it like makes my shoulders more sore at the end of the day. Maybe that would go away with time, probably, but I just like the less steering effort in the skidoo and that body position.
So were you riding a cat before as well?
Yeah, I had a 18, 19, and 20 cat, and then I switched to skidoo in 21 when they came out with the turbo.
So do you go back to a cat every now and then? Do you hop on one?
I actually rode one for a week this season. I rode an Alpha when we were up in Sealy Lake. Kyle
right.
Hustis, Freshies Built, hooked it up. The quick change drive shaft on the skidoos, I sheared that off on my Lynx, riding the trail up. Fortunately, I caught it there, but it was like skipping splines in there, and it was bad. So I limped it out of there, and I was down. My turbo was down 2 for a sensor at the time, so I was down 2 sleds. But yeah, I rode a cat, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of turbos in the group, and it was extremely deep snow, and got around. Felt right at home, actually, after a few days. But those are good sleds, too. I'm excited to spend some time on the Catalyst, on the new mountain sled that they have.
Yeah, have you been on that yet?
Not yet. We got to ride the ZR, the RXC, the cross-country one. Our buddy Zach Herfindahl had one of those when we were back in the UP, and we put a fair amount of miles, actually, on
Quite a
that
bit of
thing.
time. Yeah, we got to ride it on the moto track, too, which was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun on that sled,
Yeah.
actually, because one thing I noticed is the steering effort's like really minimal, and it's like low center of gravity and really planted. So you just send a huge tabletop and then come into a corner and lock it up, and it would just like slide sideways but not want to tip, and then you could just juice it out of the corners.
The CG is so low on that. They're really on something.
Yeah.
Like that
There's
sled's
definitely
pretty
something.
amazing.
It's so smooth, too. The drive line's, like, amazingly smooth. On that sled it was.
Yeah, cool to see the updates to the chassis, like in the bulkhead region, like the tube chassis element of all of it, and the welded chassis, I guess, and then I don't know, just refinements overall. I think they got a winner for sure. Just need a little more power.
Yeah, it's kind of like the M's. You know, go back to the M7, M8, and M1000. Like they built that sled. Jason Howell, when he designed that sled, threw everything out, threw the book out, and just said, "All right, just build me something with an engine, a track, and skis that I can ride and get anywhere I want."
Yeah.
And that's kind of the approach they came back to on the Catalyst, rather than, well, let's make this bigger and let's try to get this geometry this way, and let's do our big spacing A-arms and our tall spindles. And
It was a clean slate on that one. Like,
Yeah.
let's just start over.
start completely over and just make this
makes
thing
sense.
as small and simple and as compact as possible, and just make it a machine that just moves a person through the trees. And it's phenomenal. Like, it's a really good machine.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
But when they've got a big motor on that, they're going to have a winner.
Cool.
The 600s, I mean, they sold out of those M600s in a matter of a couple hours.
Yeah. It was
So
like
it
instantly.
went better than
Better than
kinda
expected.
we thought.
Granted, I don't know how many they're making because they're pretty limited on build capacity at the factory, but they're making a bunch. But they sold out, and then we've ridden a turbo version of it, Riley Kincaid's turbo that Ibex built, that Jason Nethercott helped get running well, and that thing, that's fun.
Is it?
It's really fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
it's sweet to see. I mean, it's so cool to see all these innovations from the OEMs in the industry. I mean, year after year, it's like something new is coming out almost every year. And like, what other industry do you see that in?
I don't know. It makes it expensive though because
Sure does.
you want the new thing every year.
It's wild.
And-
Like I haven't had a snowmobile for a long time, and to have something I feel like is good enough the way it is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Because you're like an Apex
I'm a horsepower
turbo guy.
junkie. It just
Yeah.
adrenaline junkie. I like horsepower. So for that thing to be enough, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it
that
was
says
just
a lot.
a lot of fun. So
Yeah, no, they're killing it with that. Do you guys do any snow biking?
No, not really. I owned one for a couple years. But they've come a long way. It wasn't my thing though.
we need to do that one time, like just one legit solid ride with a certain group, and I think you guys would have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the kids have come a long way since we've spent time on them. And then I don't know. I think it would be really cool for back in the Midwest and out east,
Yeah.
like where the trees are super
Yeah.
tight and your lower elevation making a bit
Yeah.
more power.
You got
I would
more of
have
that-
one if I lived back there.
That
like,
technical
full-time.
aspect though, because you can't just horsepower your way to the top, so you have to get strategic, which
yeah.
makes it fun. And you got 4 or 5 guys trying to pick the same lines, and you're kicking each other and crashing into each other, and it gets wild. It gets
And
to
it's-
be a
it's
good
Says
time.
the
fun.
horsepower guy.
Yeah, it says the
Well-
horsepower junkie.
That's what I mean. It's so technical that it kind of overcomes that.
I got
Because
you.
Yeah.
at first I was like, yeah, this is, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, these make what, 70 horsepower?
50.
But you get into, I don't know. I mean, you guys do that on your sled, so it's probably hard to explain.
I
But
don't know. The thing I loved about snow biking that I still do is just you get 3 or 4 guys together and you can be like fender to fender and like bumping handlebars and
Well-
not worried about getting hurt, not worried about an avalanche
and
coming down on you.
not even like there's that part, but we've unloaded before, and we're like, okay, we're gonna ride from Pine Creek Pass, and we're gonna come out the Rexburg bench,
Yeah.
and we just get our phones and we just freaking, it doesn't matter, we just pick our way there, and someone picks us up at the end. Like,
That's cool.
it's rad.
Wow.
Like, you don't have to go, this is how everybody gets to here. Well, we just want to go. We want to go exploring and go. I mean, it just opens up. If your bars will fit through, we usually make it.
Yeah, because you can commit, you can drop off something
Right.
without knowing that, okay, I'm committed going down because I'm not going back up.
So when the snow's not great and you can make some progress and take extra gas, you can actually get somewhere. We cover a lot of ground, and we'll just go explore new stuff, and that's
cool.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoy snow biking, but a year like this, man, snowmobiling is just so much fun.
One
So
of
much
these
more
days,
fun.
we'll have snow bikes strapped to a helicopter, and we'll just go out in the middle of June, unload, and go for the day.
That was Nate. You remember Nate King? That was
Yeah.
his like big thing.
Oh,
was
it's
like,
gonna happen.
Helicopters
It's
with
gonna-
snow
it's
bikes.
gonna
and
happen.
We just drop in.
I got a
wherever we
picture
want.
saved in my phone, one strapped on each skid. And I think Dave's would haul like 4 or 5 bikes.
Well, yeah, that one would.
That'd be unreal.
Jeez.
That'd be a good video.
That would be
That
a
would
good video.
be, yeah.
So what did you guys wind up ordering for 24s?
I ordered what did I order? Oh, I ordered a Lynx Turbo 154, the 3900 or 30.
Did you ride
Yeah,
dealers?
3900.
The RE or the DS?
RE. Yep, a black one.
He did. Yeah, you rode Clint's.
I
right?
did. Yeah.
Does he rally that pretty good? I mean,
He does. Oh
'cause
yeah.
after we weighed him, I kind of thought that's impressive because there's not a lot to him.
He was having when we rode last time, he was having some issues with his elbow, so we ended up cutting the day short, but it was really deep snow and he was ripping that thing. Yeah.
And it looks like it just takes a beating because
Yeah.
that guy is not nice to stuff.
But yeah, so I ordered that, and then I ordered a 146 and a Skidoo Freeride, the new Freeride.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm kind of flopping exactly what I did this year.
So we'll actually have the 146 Turbo free ride Friday.
Nice.
Oh.
And that is probably for 24. There's 2 sleds that are just like the top. And
Yeah.
It's the free ride 146 and the Chaos 155 with the 325 track.
Yep.
Just fun. The
Really?
most
I
fun
bet.
I've had on snowmobiles.
Did you ride that 325 track on a boost or 9R?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I would take that track. I mean, I would take that track and be willing to be careful on the trail with it just to have the thrust that track generates.
Really? It's the real deal, huh?
It is. It's
Wow.
legit.
That wasn't just like we couldn't think of anything else to do, so we got a bigger track.
No,
Like it works?
It motates. It makes that sled move through deep snow.
Huh.
Like, and it's funny because like even on a 275 9R, just like an NA, you don't really realize how much track spin is going on because you start moving pretty good. The sled's not too heavy.
Right.
The 275 track hooks up pretty well, and you can still lift the front end on it even though it's an NA. You throw a 325 under the same sled, and it's a totally different ballgame. It just your arms get tired
Wow.
because it moves forward so quickly. It doesn't really waste any time spinning the track. Yeah. And it doesn't go down. Everybody was like, it's going to trench like crazy. We rode that thing from January until 2 weeks ago, and it hooks up. Like it just goes. Cool.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
That's a really good setup. So you're going to be on 2 skidoos.
A skidoo and a lynx.
Or a skidoo and a lynx.
Yeah.
What'd you wind up with?
I also got a free ride. Well, I got 2 free rides, actually. Never had a free ride before. Color's pretty wild. I'm usually an all-black snowmobiles kind of guy. But
That's the turquoise one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a 154 free ride turbo. That'll be like my main sled. And then a 146 free ride turbo. Because you got to have one. Like you said, like it's the thing.
It's just so funny. You go everywhere just standing straight up and down.
Yeah. And then a 146 9R RMK Chaos.
Oh,
With the
3, huh?
2.6, yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
So you both got NAs. So
Yeah.
you can have NA days.
Mm-hmm. And then I figured, now hear me out, that I'll just not ride the 146 turbo that much and keep it nice.
For once.
That's the justification.
Now we're gonna need a bigger truck, more horsepower, and a bigger trailer.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, you're what 6 sleds with Tyler's sled, right?
Yeah, what do we got here? We will have. So we each have 2. We've got Jordan's 9R.
Or Jordan's, yeah.
Yep, we've got 2 old cats. We've got a Boost 165. That's our buddy's. That's just been like a backup sled all season. And then our buddy Lucas has 2 other cats. A stage 2 build. Yeah, they're both 2022s.
Yeah. 154 and 146.
So that's kind of our fleet. They're not all ours, but it's kind of what we run with. The old cats are for running up and down the old Ryrie Highway and the irrigation canals and stuff and farm fields out there. But yeah, we're trying to figure out how we're going to get them all back to Wisconsin now, because the trailer fits about 8, but we have a ton of stuff to put in there as well. So we gotta figure that out in the next couple of days here.
We'll make it happen.
Double decker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that. We'll put the sled deck inside of the trailer and then sleds up on the sled deck in the
Yeah.
trailer.
Jeez.
It works.
You can stack them in there like a pair of shoes, one upside down on top of the other.
Yeah, maybe the burnt ones.
Yeah.
Just the box of parts that's left over.
Yeah,
Just
those are easy to haul
that going
around.
oh, man. Yeah, so the 24 stuff is going to be cool. So your 9R, did you get a 325
No.
under that?
No. They only had the 2.6 and 2-inch options
Oh,
for the
because it's
146.
146.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. A 155 with the 325 feels everything that a 146
I bet.
2.6 does.
I bet. We were talking about that this year, that a 155 9R might, that would be a sweet sled. And I was considering actually going to a 155 Boost as like my turbo sled, my main turbo sled. Knowing that about the 325, that might have persuaded me to do so. But
The thing about the 325 that I've never felt on any snowmobile before.
Do you have a picture of it?
The track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to see it.
Pull that up right here, actually.
well, I will just add that I noticed a huge difference with Skidoo's new track this year too.
Yeah.
It seemed to work a lot better. Man, that is massive.
Jeez.
So that track, so if you take a 155 track, and everybody's kind of in this area of, do I go 65 or 54?
Right.
And 65 is more predictability, a little more stability, but it's not as fun. And a 54 is more playful and lifts the front end up, but you've got to be on your toes more. And then 146 is just its own animal. Mm-hmm. That track on a 155 gives you the ability to go through deep snow like a 163 or 164 or 5. but lifts the front end like 146. So it
Wow.
makes the sled feel longer because it's more capable.
Sure.
But it also makes it handle like it's shorter because it's physically short and it's got so much thrust that it can just, you lean back and
Man,
you can wheelie.
and that's-
You can
That's so
manual.
cool.
15 wide.
15 wide.
So do you think Ski-Doo will follow
3.5
suit?
3.5 pitch. I don't know.
Need to put one of those tracks on a Ski-Doo.
You could on a free ride.
That 155 on the turbo would be money.
Yeah.
Might have to try it.
And that's what I like. The Chaos 155 with that track, with the turbo, the Chaos
Yeah.
Boost, is
Best of both
so
worlds. And
much
you got the
fun. So much
traction,
fun,
but
yeah.
shorter.
I bet that's sweet.
Yeah, it handles like a 140. The fun factor of the 9R 146 is the way it handles, and then the deep snow ability of the 165 is the way it goes through snow. Like, it's
Yeah.
I don't know. People kind of laughed at it and blew it off, like what you were saying.
Right.
Oh, we just came up with something.
Couldn't think
to
anything
have
else to do.
something.
Let's make the track longer.
They're going
bigger.
to be. They did the same thing about the 9R.
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal about a big bore? You guys have had a 900 before. It sucked. Like, all that. And then the 9R comes out, and everybody just loves it. Aside
Real
from the fact
deal.
that it's the same price as a Boost.
Right.
But it's an amazing sled. I think this track's going to be the same thing. Everybody kind of blew it off, and then the people that got it, all their buddies are going to be like,
It's gonna be the Holy Grail.
It
cow.
really is exciting though to see. I mean, everybody's just like, it's like the truck wars. Like,
Yeah.
more horsepower, bigger. Like, coming with factory 37s on. You know what I mean? Everybody's just out for the throats of the competition, which makes it good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is with the last 3-4 years.
It's been like really.
Everybody's just gotten so much more bold and aggressive with these advancements. Like,
Well, so
like
is the
trucks
pricing, so
especially.
maybe that's why they
Well,
just.
yeah.
Yeah, people will pay whatever these days. It
Yeah.
seems like.
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, they're probably raking in billions rather than millions.
Oh, dude, that's what I mean. I was out of the snowmobile thing for a long time, and I picked that one up, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I think they figured out that there's a small population of people that'll just pay whatever for the best. I'm one of them. And so the engineers can just go nuts. Like the water meth injection turbos for the trail now,
Yeah.
back in the Midwest, like that's going to be crazy. Those are $28,000 machines is what they're going
Yeah.
to be. But yeah, I guess where everything's going in
Yeah,
power
people
sports.
buy them. The people that want them,
yeah.
they'll do anything to get them.
Yeah, be interesting to see what it does to the used
20% interest
market.
rate.
It's wild.
Yeah, it definitely has an impact on the used market. But, and then you guys have a deal with GMC, right? So you're running a new GMC every year.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a Ford guy. I ran Dodges for years, and then you switched me over to Ford.
I just like trucks, so
You
it
just-
depends on what it is, what I'm doing with it.
I was gonna say you're a Ford guy, but you got that half-ton GMC out there. Like that's
Yeah, that's my favorite truck, but like for pulling heavy, it's a different story. I'll take the 350 with 410 gears.
yeah. But you guys spend a lot of time. How many miles do you put on a truck in a year?
We probably do like 30,000 just towing the trailer a year. I mean, it's got like 27,000 on it right now, and doesn't get driven much over the summer. So a lot of that's just
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's just strictly winter.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of seat time for sure. It's awesome. We've been working with GMC for a couple of years, and they take really good care of us. We've seen some awesome trucks. We've gotten to go tour some of their facilities too. It's a really cool relationship, and we're getting ready to pick up now the new truck here next month.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, not exactly sure what it is. It's either going to be one of the new Ultimates or it's going to be one of the new AT4s. But
Yeah,
either
both,
way,
it might
both
not
are
be a-
nice.
it
I
might
like
not be
the
a dual,
24 looks really good
yeah,
too. So
But we're going back to single
single rear
right?
wheel. Yep, 3,500 long box, single wheel.
Yeah, we had a winner with the dually. It was sweet. Worked really well, but they just kind of send us whatever they want.
Yeah, and
well, that's fine. I mean, you
it
guys like,
depends.
we'll use it. Give me
Yeah.
a truck.
It depends a lot on supply chain too. I think there's still
Absolutely.
a lot of these manufacturers still feeling the effects of that. So especially in the automotive world. So yeah, we're stoked on that thing. Excited to be in a single wheel again.
You guys like break those down, kind of review them, and go over that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, there's a video from earlier this season on our channel that goes through the whole truck, kind of from back to front.
Cool.
And then what we use it for, because we haul that Trails West trailer all over the place. So that's a 34-foot floor in the gooseneck, but it turns out to be like 42 feet, right, with the gooseneck.
Yeah.
So that thing gets towed around everywhere, but then we also have a Duradeck sled deck that goes in the back, just for like some of these spring missions, especially when you're like driving up the road to try and get to the snow line. So I don't know, the dually's been great as far as handling all that weight in the bed. I mean,
it's nice for
thing's
cross country trips for sure.
Which would you prefer?
For just like driving around, I think the single wheel, like local trips, the single wheel is probably more ideal just because the sled deck flexibility, it's a little bit nicer, does a little bit better in like snow situations when you're off-roading at all. But the dually for the long hauls and stability on the interstate and stuff like that it's a smooth ride, and it puts the power down. It does really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big dually fan, but if it's a dedicated trailer machine, then yeah. But if it's also your daily, like you've got, I mean, 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trucks.
Yeah, I mean, when I was daily in a crew cab short box, it had Carly suspension, and I was hauling. At the time, we were restoring some Army trucks, so I'm hauling 25,000-pound trucks with that thing. And then daily driving, anyway, it was like I just do a dedicated truck for hauling and towing. It's always hooked to a trailer, and so the dually was a must. The lower gears was a must, and then a little half-ton for running around. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, so I've got a half-ton GMC Denali.
Do you get the 3.0 or the gas?
6.2 gas.
Dude, that 3.0 Duramax is amazing.
Is it?
Oh, it's unbelievably good.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The low end, bottom end grunt, like runs good, drives good. I average my last one for all the miles on the truck. The average was 20.
Wow.
For all, I had it like 30,000 miles in a year.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it's the AT4, so it's you get a little bit of a lift and mud tires, and it's just get the short box. You can park it anywhere. Whole family, all their crap, like that's our family car.
That would be sweet. I have a Denali right now, but I'd love to have an AT4.
Yep. If you want to drive it, it's in the parking lot. You'll love it.
Be a great
it's my
little
favorite truck.
Great little half-ton sled deck rig too.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And they get some really cool stuff. Like it's neat to kind of pick them all apart. But like if I back to a trailer with the half-ton, it knows I'm backing to a trailer, and it sets the parking brake. So when I get out, it doesn't roll away from the ball that I've just lined up perfectly. I go lower the trailer down, get in. Anyway, the cameras are really good. Like they've got some cool stuff on them.
Yeah, the tech works great. That's one thing we've noticed for sure.
One complaint: it doesn't tell you your tailgate's open. So twice now, I've been driving around with my tailgate beating on my trailer, losing shit out the back. The truck doesn't even, it's fine. Everything's fine. But if the top one's open, that dorky 2-piece they came out with, they're reinventing the wheel, it'll tell you if that one's open.
Yeah, it does tell inner
So
tailgate
it's like,
open.
they all have their, good.
But not if it's fully.
Not if it's all the way open and your stuff's flying out, down the freeway. So I got home yesterday, my tailgate was down, and I'm like, is all my stuff here? Like, how does this happen? I don't understand.
Well, hopefully they figure that out.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's great.
Software update.
Yep.
Well, that's the cool thing is like they're all like Teslas anymore, just over the air software updates and some of that stuff
Can be.
warnings like that they could probably add at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're there yet, but anyway, yeah, let's kind of wrap this up. We've been going for an hour. That's good stories. Good to get to know you guys a little bit better and hear your thoughts on some of the sleds, and good luck with your exploded Summit and see how that thing goes.
Thanks. Yeah,
I mean, watching to see what the conclusion was on that.
I've sure had tough luck with my Summits the last couple of years, but I bought two more Skidoos for next year. So like, it's just a sign that I still believe in the product. Like I said, we subject them to some crazy conditions and some crazy things. So
sometimes it's not so much you had a problem. It's like, how do they handle it?
Yeah.
So.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ryan, thanks so much for having us. We're excited to get out in the snow with you later this week.
Yeah, a couple days. We'll be out there 60, maybe 70 degrees up on the
that sounds
mountain.
amazing.
T-shirts.
Bring the sunscreen.
Where?
Come on out, Brent.
Cheap.
Fridays are hard for me, but we'll see if we can pull it
We're
off.
going
It'll be a short
Saturday
ride.
too.
It'll be probably like 11 to 2, 11 to 3,
Okay.
just down the road. Not too far. You could fly over. Fly over. I'll pick you up.
Probably pull it off. Next year I'll have skis on my plane, so
There we
that'll
go.
be a for real thing.
Sick.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.